Finally.
Finally.
So, first, let me welcome you to our podcast.
Okay. I'm welcome.
So, the first thing I want us to let's establish why we are doing this. Okay. So that all those people wondering, these people
they'll come again. They'll come again.
So help us with that. Why are we doing this?
We're doing this because it's fun. We're doing this because it's us.
Yeah.
And we're doing this just to share about our journey and maybe help some people that's either already on this journey too or embarking on this journey, and then also to maybe for some that want to understand it better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I say it covers widowhood, blended family, divorce, parenting, and so many other things.
Super. This is all. So like you said, this is our opportunity to give back to the world. Really. So many people go through stuff that they don't know how to talk about. There are so many things that people don't find comfortable talking about, or maybe they don't want to talk about it, or maybe they are afraid of talking about it, or outrightly to some people it's like taboo.
Yeah.
So let's say that the Meet the O's, our podcast, is about going where people don't like going.
Yeah.
More like, and giving courage to some people. I was talking to a friend in Canada today, and I said, "Oh, we're starting a podcast and it to be useful for you." She's also divorced, lost her 2 kids to fire back then in the Southwest, and she's finding love again all the way in Canada. And she had told me about it, that they're looking at towards the end of the year to get things, to the next level.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is an opportunity for her to follow this series because it will come really handy. So that's something like that. Okay. So our podcast covers many things. Widowhood, divorce, blended family. What else? Anything family life, really.
Yeah.
I'm building another life. But today is about you. Matanyaks.
Yes. Matanyaks. Amarian octopus.
Amarian octopus. So let's go down memory lane. You were married, then you lost your husband, then there was a period, and then you found one crazy guy. Then you chose to take this journey again, and then here we are.
Yeah.
So let's say today's first episode of Meet the O's podcast, is devoted to widowhood. And I'd like for you to give us, just talk about your story really. Talk about pre-widowhood, and then that moment of where everything changed forever.
Yeah.
And then having changed, what happened?
Okay. So pre-widowhood. So I've always had this picture of what life would look like, or what I would want life to look like for me when I get married. So I'd always pictured having a home, having kids, growing old with my spouse, going for their weddings, their graduations, just being there for them as they go through life while experiencing our own together as a pair. I've always seen my spouse as my partner in everything. So I never envisaged being a widow this early, or if ever. Or if ever. So, I met my late husband, whose name was Yakubu. I met him first, met in 1998. 1998, when I got admission in the university to study law, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria.
You're a Jambite.
Yes, Jambite, fresh. So I met him just as a friend. He was my late cousin's friend and classmate, and my cousin invited me. I said, "Oh, let's go and see my friend. He's your neighbor where you live in Jos." And then we went to see him and found out, or rather, I found out his house just a street behind my house, and that was how we became friends. We were friends all through. We never dated. He was in his final year. I think they were in school just rounding up their projects and all that. So he finished, he left. We kept in touch during the holidays. We visit each other, and it went on like that. At a point, he was like, "Please help me find a wife. My aunties are on my case. They said I've started work. I'm getting old. I need to settle down."
Wow.
And I went on a mission.
Wow.
I'm getting a wife for you.
Wow.
And, okay, you like, funny enough, then I used to eat fish. I didn't like fish, fresh, dry, anything fish. I didn't like fish. So I was, he likes eating grilled fish, watching movies. And I just checked and I was like, oh, okay, I think there might be one or two people that you'll be compatible with. And I introduced him to one of my friends. And then he was here in Abuja, I was in Jos. And she also, her parents were here in Abuja. So during the holiday, she comes to Abuja. So I was like, okay, you guys can meet up in Abuja, which they did. And I eagerly waited for feedback. And I did not get it. And I just thought, okay, maybe it went well and they took on from there.
Oh my God.
Because it was during the holidays. So when we got back to school, she now came, met me, and she was like, I met him, he's really nice. We went out, we had fish, we gisted, he did this, he did that. And I was like, oh, okay, nice. I was excited. But I couldn't wait to hear from him. And then he calls me and he's like, you don't like me. It's like,
wow.
Okay, what did I do? He now said that I sent him someone that, how did I think you would be compatible with? And then I was like, what? You guys have like common interests and all that. So I went back to her and I asked her, I said, how was it? Tell me about the, nitty gritty. Yes, what happened? Yeah, she now said, well, they went out, I had grilled fish. I think then Abuja, almost every under bridge, they were grilling fish here in Abuja.
And they still do.
Well, not as much. Now they've come out from under the bridge. But before, if you want good fish spot, you have to drive and park and go under some bridges.
Wow.
So she was like, that they got talking, but that he was saying much more about me. Like, have you ever eaten, okay, so they call me Medeski. Have you eaten Medeski's ogbono? Do you know that Medeski likes this? Do you know Medeski this, Medeski that?
Oh, wow.
And I was looking at her like, seriously, on your date?
Oh, wow.
That was the topic. And just...
You're that addictive.
Go away. So, I just felt like he used that to just push her away. Like, I'm not interested, but he didn't want to come out right. He's a gentleman like that, So that was dead on an arrival. That story ended there. Like there was no checking back. There was no second date and all that. So I said, don't worry. This wife will find for you. And the mission continued. I didn't get anybody else, but I just kept checking. Like, this guy is a good guy now. You should find a good person to be with him. So after school, now got admission into law school. And we had to go and get our letters from Zaria, then come to Buhari in Abuja to get our posting or something like that. So I informed him that I was in town. He said he would see me after work. I was in a friend's house. So when I got my letter, I was posted to Enugu State for my law school. And so he came that evening after work. I think I was in Abuja Thursday or Wednesday. And we were to resume. Classes were starting Monday the following week. So I had to go back to Jos, get set, and set out to Enugu. Latest Sunday. But I needed to go on Saturday so that I'll settle in and then start lectures on Monday. And he came by, we just stayed for a long while. I said, oh, okay. When I leaving for Jos, I said the next day. He said, okay, see you on Sunday. And I said, where? He said in Abuja. I said, why am I coming to Abuja on Sunday? He said, I'm not resuming law school. I said, yes, but I was posted to Enugu. So for me, I think that was what changed everything. You're going to Enugu. I said, yes, that was where I was posted. So why did you come to Abuja? I said, to collect my posting letter. And he stayed another extra 2 hours and did not leave. He also got talking. I was like, he didn't know it was Enugu. He wasn't prepared. Please, I should make sure I keep in touch. This. And honestly, in my whole stay in Enugu, we spoke every day. Every blessed day we spoke.
Wow.
He would call every day. He would send me recharge card, send me data, do video calls. Like, we were speaking every day. And I think the rest, we will say, is history. And so officially, I would say we started dating 2005, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think started dating 2005. So to say, finished law school, did my chambers attachment here. So 3 months. I was here, went to Jos, did my court attachment. Anyway, that continued till I finished, started work here in Abuja. And then I started work 2007 and we got married 2009, October. And had our first child 2012. I had a miscarriage before that. Then had our first child 2012 and a girl, and then our second child 2014, a boy. And life was lifing. Ups and downs of marriage and motherhood, parenting. And then I think 2017, he got posted out of Abuja to Maiduguri, went on secondment with an NGO. And then, so that was another shift in our relationship because it was now the long distance thing, which I had always said, I cannot do long distance. I like PDA too much. I like being around my person, so, but life happened and then we had to do that. And then with the insecurity in the Northeast and all that, we sure made it work. And in 2018, he came back to Abuja and we had to rearrange how to start living together again because in his absence, of course, we adjusted, and had a way and pattern of doing things. And then he's now back and we had to it wasn't an easy transition because there was now a lot of friction. I was used to doing my things, my own time. I stopped cooking every day. Just tell them, sort yourselves, whatever you want to eat, and so his coming back was like an inconvenience, so to say. And so there was a lot of friction, quarrels, misunderstandings, and to him it was like, who is this?
Where's my wife?
Where's my wife? Yes, who is this person I came back to meet? And I'm just like, oh God, this your wife, eh? She has gotten comfortable in so many things. And so that was where we are. We were, and then October 24th, 2018, that's our wedding anniversary, celebrate. Well, we usually mark it, birthdays, anniversaries, and all that. And then that was 9 years, and we were already planning, by our 10th year anniversary, we'll do this, we'll do that, to celebrate it this way. Then 10th of November 2018, usual day today, I had an event to attend by 12, and he said first 30 women to come will get a set of non-stick frying pan. If you're a woman, you know that frying pan, the handle can lose most times, and once somebody has scratched the inside, so I wanted new sets of frying pan, and I was determined to get there on time to be among the first 30 women. So, and I had told him I'd planned for it. And then he wakes up and he's like, this is like 10 o'clock. It's like he wants to eat tuwo shinkafa and egusi soup. I say, you say what? Tuwo shinkafa alone will do 2 hours on fire. Then before you go to market, buy the things, come and make the soup. And my husband had this thing of eating only my food. Like, I will make it how he liked it. So it wasn't a matter of, okay, the girls in the house will make it. You're here, you will make it. The only time he gets to manage their food is when I'm not around. And even with that, I'll make plenty soups and just keep in the freezer. So I grudgingly made that food. Had to send them to the market, did everything, and then finished, served, went upstairs, had my bath, came downstairs, and then I didn't see the car key. I went out, I didn't see the car. I said, what happened? Where is Dada? I said, where is Dada? They said he went out. I said, he went where? After making me miss my appointment, this was already like 1 o'clock.
Oh.
And then, so I was pissed. And, so, I picked my bag, walked to the gate, hailed a cab, and somehow, because I will even say, not unlike me, because usually when I'm angry, please just day or day, I'm not even talking to you, but somehow, call him. And I followed that prompting and I put a call through to him. And I was like, where are you? You left and you knew that I had it. I was like, where are you? So he heard me, the cab had stopped. So I was trying to describe where I was going to the cab guy. And he was like, where are you? I said, I'm by the gate. I just stopped the cab. He was like, no. Free him. I'm around the corner. I was rushing to come and drop the cab for you. So I told the cab guy to go. Of course, he wasn't happy. Hissed and drove off. So I stood by the gate and then he came back, handed the car keys over to me. His laundry that he had picked up was at the back seat, and the second car was at the mechanic. So I said, so before then, I had told him that I left my designer glasses in the second car. I said, before your mechanic will steal my glasses and go and give his girlfriend, she won't even know the worth. She'll think it's inside traffic that I bought it. So he came back and he handed me over and said, see your glasses before you say my mechanic stole your glasses. And I removed it and I wore it. And if you know me, I love sunshades. I have as much sunshades as clothes.
I can say that.
So I wore it and he was like, you didn't even wait. And the last thing I told him was, life is too short.
Wow.
That was the last word we exchanged. I said, please, life is too short. Let me rock my glasses. And I entered the car and I drove off. And when I got to the place, of course, I was like number 100 and something. So any talk of frying pan was not even inside. And then I was just, I don't know. I just wasn't my usual bubbly, lively self. So everybody was like, music was playing. I wasn't dancing. I wasn't, everyone was like, what's wrong with you? You that you can't hear music, you must stand up and dance. I was like, maybe. I was feeling a bit crampy. So I felt, okay, maybe it was that. And then we were chatting with him. And so the kids had gone to my neighbor's house with my cousin for a birthday party. So he was like, let him use this opportunity and rest, What time will I be back? I said, I should be back maybe 5, 6. Then, so when the at the event, everybody was asking me, and I now told them. So we usually have an end of year hangout, and that year it was to be on my birthday in December. So I told them, I said, I'm saving all my dance for that end of year hangout because it's my birthday. I'll rock it and all that. So around 3 o'clock ish, sent him a message like, how far? I didn't get a reply. It wasn't read. So I just said, okay, maybe he's sleeping. Let it be. The event dragged a bit later into like 7 p.m. ish. Then I had to help 2 of our members to Guarimpa, drop them off, go home. The birthday was still going on. So I went upstairs. My phone had died because I didn't go out to charge our power bank. I entered. My younger brother was downstairs and I was like, oh, where is Yags? And he said, oh, he's upstairs. And I said, okay. Please let me plug my phone to charge with your charger. Let me go upstairs. And I went upstairs. No, I went upstairs first. The door was locked. So I was knocking. I was like, it's me or it's not the children. No reply. I came downstairs, told my brother to help me plug my phone. Went back. I was like, oh, are you angry that I came back later than I said I would? Sorry, don't be angry. Please open the door. I want to have my bath. I want to change. I'm just, the weather was very hot. He didn't open. Then I heard my son. My son was 4 then. So I heard my son running up the stairs and he tripped and hit his leg. Then he started crying. So I ran, I picked him up. And I know that if there is one thing that, my husband always had this fear of the children falling down the stairs or getting injured, anything. So if he hears any cry from around the staircase, he's in panic mode. So I picked my son. I came to the door. I was like, Bobo was even crying from the staircase and he didn't even come out. Like, even if you're angry with me, your son is crying, come out. He didn't come out. And I told Bobo to go back to the neighbor's house. And I went downstairs. I asked my brother, I said, when did you see him? When he came, my brother said he came in and didn't know anybody was home because there was no car. So apparently Yakubu came in, locked the door, dropped the key where we drop it by the window and went upstairs. I went downstairs, I checked the warmer. The food was still there. He did not eat. Because when I met him outside, I told him food was ready. I had set up the dining table, So I started getting worried. It was getting dark. I could hear the TV and the AC from the room, but the room was locked. So I called, my phone had charged a bit. I switched it on. Because my brother was saying, oh, maybe he went out with a friend. I said, no, if he had gone out, he would have sent me a message to tell me he's not home. So I called his phone. Then I heard his phone ringing in the room. So I got worried, started panicking, told my brother, he's inside, and got a ladder and someone was able to climb through the veranda. I just told him, don't switch on the light, just open the door for me from inside. So luckily the door leading to the veranda was not locked. So he was able to gain access to the room. He opened the door and he went out. So my brother and his friend were outside trying to put down the ladder and all that. I entered the room. I didn't put on the lights. I looked around. It didn't look like there was somebody in the room. I put on the light. Then I noticed he had laid his clothes on the bed as if he went to have a shower. So I went to the bathroom and it was partially open. And I just saw his form lying down on the floor, and I now screamed my brother's name like, he's here, you guys should come. And they ran upstairs, they came in. So he was lying face down in the bathroom. He still had his towel tied, the water, but he had not gotten to the bathtub. And so my friend's brother is a pharmacist, and so he just told me, don't touch him, don't switch, don't do anything, you can get a doctor. He ran out. My brother was trying to pull me out of the bathroom. I told my brother, just leave me. He said, don't. I said, I'm not going to turn him, just leave me. So my brother went to ask his friend. Then I sat down on the floor. So his body felt warm, so I had hope that maybe he just fainted or So I just sat down there. I was praying. I was crying. I was just there, and he was face down. So a part of me just said, okay, if he can turn his head, maybe he'll breathe better. Maybe that's why he's not breathing, and I just tried, but it was stiff. So I couldn't turn the head, and I left him. I don't know how long it took. My brother's friend came back with the doctor, and they pulled me out of the bathroom into the room, and she checked for pulse and all that, and I saw her shake her head, and she came out, sat down beside me. She was like, she's sorry, but this is it. There's no life, something. She said plenty things, and I said that because rigor mortis, yes, had set in. Yes, we couldn't carry him in a car. We need an ambulance to come and pick him, and so when I heard ambulance, that was when I was like, my children. So immediately I just told them to go tell my cousin to stay with them in that house till someone comes for them, and then told my younger brother to call my husband's elder brother, who also stays here in Abuja with us. I just went into auto mode,
fixer mode,
auto mode, and took him to the hospital, took my children to my brother-in-law's house, made the necessary calls, and that was it. Yakubu was 44. He would have been 45 by January of the next year, 2019, and we went to the hospital, did all the preliminary. Okay, they had to get a policeman to come, and they said since he died at home, they had to rule out foul play. They got the policeman, very insensitive policeman, I remember. He was just, what happened? Why is there? Where is there? And my brother had to scream at him like, this is not the time to do that. By then, my brother-in-law had come. My brother-in-law said, no, leave this woman. Anything you want to ask me. Like everybody was just like, how can he be so insensitive? It's like, he's just doing his job, just doing his job. Because if he does not sign these certificates, they will not accept the cops in the hospital. So they pulled him outside. And from there, it was a blur. Everything just got jumbled. I was having an out-of-body experience. I remember the following day, people came, were greeting me, and I would answer and, say the right words, but a part of me would be looking on, like, why are people here? Why are people gathered? It can't be real. It can't be true. It's a bad dream I would wake up from. And that was it. Everything, like I said, was just a blur to the burial. I got to speak with the kids because I wanted to be the one to tell them. My daughter was 6, my son was 4. And people were just saying, oh, they won't understand. Oh, they will forget their father. And I just, whispered a word of prayer and said, no, they won't forget their father. No matter how brief his stay was in their life, no, they won't forget him because he loved them with everything he had. Everything he was doing was for them. So no. This is a whole human being we're talking about. People are saying we forget him as if it's just one storybook that they read or something, So I prayed about it. I spoke with them and just told God, give me the words to explain, because I honestly could not imagine dealing with where is daddy, what happened, like over and over. So I needed to tell them once and for it to sink in. And God really helped me. They got the fact that he wasn't coming back. Maybe they didn't really grasp that.
The impact.
Yes, the impact,
or the import of that.
Of what death meant, but they knew he wasn't coming back. And for me, it was a huge relief at that time because that means I wasn't going to be doing back and forth with them again. We went to Jaws, made preparations, the burial. A lot of people showed up. Yakubu was loved by so many people. Yakubu was a very jovial fellow. Like, he was always smiling. Like, even during the burial, when people could share their testimonies and who he meant to them and who he was to them. Every one thing that was across board was that I've never seen him angry. He was always smiling. He would give his last jacket if you're cold. And that was who Yakubu was. And burial finished. We came back to Abuja and reality set in January 2019. Like, okay, this is our new
reality.
Yes, this is our new life now. And for me, that was when I started realizing what this meant. This meant I was a single parent. This meant I was without a husband. This meant I had these 2 small children looking up to me for everything. This meant one source of income into the family. This meant I had to be taking decisions that I couldn't be bothered about. And I had to be calling mechanic myself, calling electrician, plumber, dealing with those things that honestly I didn't used to. And then being called for family meeting. That I really just used to hear feedback. Now I had to attend family meeting as head of the family. So it was a lot. It was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of expectations. And it stressed me. It stressed me so much that I didn't even know what to do. I became an angry parent. I was always screaming at my children. I knew it was not right. I knew I was transferring aggression, but I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how to help myself or to help them. And I didn't want that to be the memory my children will grow up with. Like, oh, we're a happy family. And then when Dada died, and Mama became an angry person. And, they'll now withdraw from me and go and seek solace and counsel from outside. I did not want that. I didn't want that. So I guess I prayed for help. Like, I can't even remember consciously doing that. And for me, that help came March 2019, where I was given a scholarship to attend, a certification course on emotional intelligence and anger management with the then soccer. Sam Obafemi behavior.
Who would have thought?
Change Academy.
Who would have thought?
Chaired by the famous coach Sam. Sitting here.
Oh my God.
And that set another trajectory on my life and my journey. It created a shift. I'm a lawyer by profession and by upbringing. And so if you really know lawyers, we don't do anything outside law. Everything we do has to be law related and inclined. So for me, this was a total shift from anything law, and it was exciting. I had been hearing about emotional intelligence, and I was like, what's all this thing about? And honestly, those 5 days changed everything. Those 5 days healed me.
Wow.
I thought I went to that class to get help on how to help my children, but I actually got help for me. I got help for my career. I got help for I had a mind shift. It was a lot. It was so much. I met amazing people that I'm still friends and business partners and, co-partnering on this journey together. And everything, behavioral change, just became attractive to me. Like, I did mental health, I did counseling, premarital. I did so many things that anything that has to do with behavioral change, I'm there. Anything that had to do with the mind, trauma therapy, and all that. And, it also opened my mind to, I've always journaled, I've always written. That's how I express myself, and, led me to putting all this my story into a book. And for me, one of the reasons I wrote that book was that my first book is titled We Say Their Name, A Journey of Healing, Grief, Healing, and Hope. And one of the things that led me was because, one, my children were quite young when their dad died, and I needed to document the story as I could remember it freshly, vividly, so that they would always have a reference. They would always have a reference in their mother's voice. So no matter the story they grow up hearing of how things went down, this was when I was in the thick of my pain and hurt and grief. But I still, put everything else aside to document this. And then I needed to document it because I needed to share my voice and my story with widows, especially, and people just going through grief, because it's not just widowhood, just the grief of the loss of anything or anyone, and just know that you're not alone. And maybe my story might inspire someone that just feels hopeless, like, you know what, I've lost this, there is no going back, I can't get anything else, I can't make anything out of life and all that. So that was another reason for doing it. And then I think thirdly, I needed to put my story down in a book form, because I wanted something that would transcend even my existence. Like, I'm here, I'm not here, my story will still be heard, be read, and be shared. So for me, these were the reasons why I wrote that book. I've gone ahead to write two other books. So the second book is Pebbles Along My Path. So it's just some nuggets about lessons I've picked in life, in grief, in widowhood, in solo parenting, and all that. So just nuggets. And then the third book is We Never Knew It Was the Last Time. So that is also, that one is basically about my grief journey and how, when I last spoke with Yakubu, I did not know it was the last time, and other deaths and losses that have come up after that. And like, I just saw the person, I would have visited the person. And it's a recurring statement, like I hear it across board, where people say, do you know, I was supposed to reply that text, I was supposed to pay that visit, I was supposed to place that call, I should have just done it. Because I remember when I was sharing my story with one of my older sisters, one of my aunties, and she was like, how do I know that she picked a lesson from this? The fact that even though it was inconvenient, I still made Yakubu's favorite meal. That when she's angry, she would not even have made that her husband's food. Like, if he had annoyed her, she would not do it. It was an inconvenience, that so she could just imagine if that was the last memory, that he asked for his favorite meal, even though he did not eat it. And I refused to make it because I had to go and get frying pan. And then I came back and this was what I met. That would have been a regret. I would have been living with, like, I would have just made this food. What's this? What is he making food? What's frying pan? How many frying pans have I had from that time till now? You get? So she said for her, that was the lesson she picked. Like, just whatever you need to do now, do it. Stop leaving things for later. Stop leaving things for, I have time. When my children grow up, some of us buy clothes or shoes and leave it. I'll use it for my birthday in December, my 40th birthday next year. That's when I will. And then I'm tempted to ask, Fun. One thing that I think grief has made, I don't know whether it has made me more of a cynic. So there are a lot of things that people just say or prayers that people utter, and I can't find myself answering amen, honestly, because I've seen it. So when, I know this might offend some people, but when you say you will not die young, I look at them like, okay. Nobody prays to die young, but we've seen young people die. We've seen 3-year-old, 1-year-old, months. And it did not mean that God loved them less.
Valid.
So sometimes I'm wondering, we're saying it as we're professing positively and using positive words, but ultimately God is the owner, the ruler, the beginning and the end, the one that knows the end before so, because sometimes in professing such or saying some things, when it now happens, we lose faith.
Yeah.
Because God, I served you. God, I paid my tithes. God, I worked in church. I'm a worker in church. God, you said that we will not cast our young. You said,
with long livelihood.
Yes. And then, so it's because our own interpretation and understanding of these things, for example, of long life, is flawed. Because it's our human understanding. God said, I'll satisfy you with long life. He did not tell you how long that life will be. His son lived for only 33. And for him, he did everything. There was nothing else for him to do.
And the legacies are now living for life.
For life. And then this 6-month-old, and you're like, this child was without sin and he had not grown to be all he was meant to be. And I'm asking, how do you know what he was meant to be? This his 6 months is what he was meant to be.
Was the role he was meant to play.
And the role he was to play. And he has played it. But people don't want to have such conversations. So I stay away from it. I beg. Let me not be the bearer of bad news, the bringer of death. And
I want to take you to a direction.
Okay.
That I'm not sure I've heard before. There were things you said. For example, you kept saying my younger brother's friend. And I think that when incidences like death happen, in the process of the grieving and like you entered the fix-it mode, auto mode, and you're trying to get things sorted. So now in retrospect, I'm thinking maybe this is a good opportunity to give credit to some key players that day.
Okay. Yes.
Maybe just say, what, in retrospect, thank God for, I remember there was the guy that went through the window.
Yes.
There are just some people that if they were not there
at that moment,
day, it may have made it more, I don't know. I've not had to face a corpse myself before, so I don't know what it feels like. But if you were to mention and give credit to some key players for that day or that short period in the transition, who would you say thank you to?
So for that day, I would say thank you first of all to my younger brother, Manex, because honestly, he held everything together. I don't know if that was a good thing, because I saw the effect after when he did not have to hold things together anymore, and it took a toll on him. But for that day, he held everything together. He placed the most difficult calls. He reached people and had to be the one to break the news to people, and I can't just imagine that. I've had to break news to some people and it was not palatable. And he had to do that. Family members, some of my friends that he felt needed to be there with me. So honestly, my younger brother. Then, as you rightly said, it was our security guy that came in through the window. He came in through the balcony because he was the smallest. And the ladder was not long enough to place on the ground. So they had to hold the ladder for him to climb. And I'm grateful to him, George, because he didn't understand why, but he did it anyway. He got the ladder, he went to rent the ladder, he came, he was willing to risk his life and climb up to the first floor by just two men holding the ladder. He listened to my instruction, he didn't switch on the light,
Yes.
He
He didn't try to be a macho man
you
or
get.
Super Mario.
Honestly, that's the second person. The third person is my friend, my brother's friend, Afa. Afa is my younger brother. Afa is more than a friend. Afa is a family member. You know, Afa has always been there. Afa gave me my first designer's perfume when I was in ABU. He knows how much I love perfume. You know, and it was a sample perfume, but I used that perfume, like, oh goodness. And I liked the compliments of, oh, you smell nice. Can you imagine a student without money to eat food, smelling very expensive? You know, so Afa has been there. Afa is solid. It also affected Afa a lot because Yakubu was their big brother, you know, and put some things in perspective for him. He kept telling me how he's looking at himself and he's wondering, if I'm not here today, how will my children survive? I need to put things in order. I need to do more. I need to secure their future and all that. So Afa. And then I'm grateful for peace. I'm grateful for peace and my cousins, sisters that have been staying with me. Naan she's now in her own home with her husband and her child, you know, but I'm really grateful because they were there. They've been there. They helped with the kids. I was able to stay because I knew that my kids were in good hands. I'm grateful for Bella and Dennis. They took these children in without question. Yes, it was also their grief. It's Dennis's younger brother, but they made sure to distract the kids enough that the kids are not wondering, why are we here and not in our own house?
Yes.
You get. So honestly, I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for late Kosovo. He was the one that called his friend and his friend took my children to their uncle's house.
Wow.
He had just come into Abuja. He had just come to the house for the first time. Yes, them golden child, Eddie, you know, Golden was also just visiting, just came in.
Oh my God.
And
just
found
the situation on ground.
Afa and Manex. I was still upstairs. I didn't even know Golden was around. So they helped in taking the cops down to the ambulance.
Oh my goodness.
They were the ones that were there.
Jesus.
Yes. You know, so, and then I'm grateful for my friend Martina. I'm grateful for my friend Martina because she was one of the first people that got there. You know, she was in shock too, but she was there. You know, she just kept praying and singing over me as everything was going on. So I could hear her. And I knew that I was being covered in prayers. I'm grateful for Lois, who I called my cause, because Lois frantically, like, once she reached my former boss, my late boss, Mr. Adam, reached Mike, she reached my colleagues, she tried to reach the people that she felt needed to know and be there and mattered, you know. So I'm grateful for Granny. Granny came all the way from Massacre and scattered the whole compound. Yakubu was her son, you know, and Granny stayed, so she showed up. I'm grateful for my sis. I'm grateful for Ken.
Sweet girl.
Ken is solid. Ken looks fragile. She looks soft, but I saw her stand firm, even when it broke her heart that I was going through this, but she stood. And
the list
goes on. I'm grateful for, so not for just those that showed up that day, but for Puna and Marie, who were pregnant. I think Marie was on bed rest, and they discharged themselves and said, we need to be here with our sister. They followed me all the way to Mangu. They went for the burial, stayed with me, came back. And now my babies are grown. Both of them successfully had their babies. And because that was one prayer, I said, God, nothing will happen to this pregnancy. You see the sacrifice that they have made, nothing will happen to this pregnancy. And I'm happy that God honored that. And, they all had successful. Their spouses too showed up, and so many people.
Yes.
Honestly, so many people.
Yes.
I'm grateful for my neighbors. I'm grateful for Nathan's dad. I'm grateful for Grumshak. I'm grateful for Ayo. Grateful for Umi's dad. They all came. Like my husband was very quiet too. He would smile, he would greet you, but that's it. So I can't even say they had a relationship. Maybe when they are doing compound meeting, they will shall go and sit down. How guys used to do their things, you get, and just say hi to each other. But I won't say they've hung out. They really knew anything, but they showed up.
Wow.
They showed up, and it meant a lot.
Wow.
It meant a lot.
As we round up this episode, one thing that I think I would like you to amplify, like you've said over the years, is the role of support systems for people going through grief.
Generally. Honestly, I can't underestimate or downplay the role of support system, because even these people I'm listing, more are coming. Like, hey, there are so many more,
And if she didn't mention your name, it's not that she didn't want to mention your name. It's just that the list is so long.
It's because you narrowed it down to that first day only.
Before they start saying, you see, ba, after what we did for her. It's not like that.
Support system, you cannot, honestly, because for me, it helped in healing me. I won't say fast, but whole.
Yeah.
Because my family showed up. And when I say my family, I don't just mean just the immediate, but my family showed up and has been showing up over the years. My siblings, my parents, my uncles, aunties, cousins, like everybody just dropped everything and said, hey, this is our Medeski. We stand with her. So my friends, my colleagues, my classmates, secondary school, university course-mates, they formed groups, they made contributions, they sent funds. Yakubu's colleagues, I developed a different relationship with them after he died. It was now, I just used to be, okay, Yakubu's wife. They liked me, they respected me. I now became their baby sister that everybody was looking out for. Everybody was just ensuring she's fine. I would meet or call one of them and they say, everybody's always asking me, have you checked on Yakubu's wife? How's Yakubu's wife? How are the children? When last did you go? They're always doing that. Then they will form a group and just gather funds, maybe beginning of session, and just say, this for the children's school fees. Like, it humbled me every time. Oh yes, then I almost forgot Mrs. Kelly. She was like a grandmother to my children. She was the proprietress of the former school, and she just came and stayed by my side, like literally stayed by my side till my mom came. Is that your mom? Yes. Before she stood up and allowed my mom to sit beside me. But before then, no matter who you are, she did there. You can stay on the other side. She's not moving. She is not moving for anybody. She hugged over me like mother hen. And I'm honestly grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for, So for support systems, I tell people that most times when we're in pain, we push people away. We feel that I need to deal with this alone. But I found out that that's if you have good people around you that are actually offering support, be open to accepting it. Sometimes we are the ones that push them away. We're not open to accepting it because we don't know how to accept help. We do the giving, but we don't know how to accept it. It was humbling when my friends, after the burial, were on, and everybody was like, is there anything that happened in my family that Medeski was not there? When I had my first child, Medeski was there. When my father was diagnosed, Medeski was there. And I'm like, oh, wow. They were even having the conversation. They didn't know when I came into the room. And it was really humbling. So everybody said it was a no-brainer dropping
That they
everything
had to
and
show
showing up. Like, finally, it's not a good finally, but at least let's even show her that
We
all these
appreciate.
years that she has been there for us, we appreciate it, and this is the way we can show that we appreciate it. And so, and then also sometimes we sit down saying, also we did not get any support when we're going through our time of grief. But check yourself too. How have you been all this while?
So
do you go for people's events? Do you show up when people need? Sometimes people just do it only when it's convenient. People don't inconvenience themselves. So it's raining. I beg, I'm not going. My shoe is not the color of the day. I'm not going. People find excuses and show up only when it's convenient. Oh, it's next door to my house. Okay, I can go. But if I have to drive my car to Gwagwalada,
or take a flight to Lagos.
Or take a flight to Lagos, I'm not going. But that's not what relationships are about. Relationships are about you actually putting aside just it being convenient and putting value on who that person means to you and just showing up. And it mustn't only be in times of joy, only when there's a wedding, there's a birthday, there's a party. Then when there is a death or a loss of job or loss of house or something, like,
we don't do
you
that.
only rejoice with people that are rejoicing. You don't go to the house of weeping. So I think that's also another takeaway. Like, who are you to that relationship for you to expect them to be there for you?
Yeah.
Have you been there for them?
Powerful.
Because it's almost like a given.
Yeah.
That people will feel indebted to you if you've been that to them.
True.
It's a given.
Joy and grief can coexist. I learned that from you.
Yes.
In 60 seconds, what do you want to say about that statement?
I'm looking at 60 seconds like that's my favorite topic. Why are we doing it in 60 seconds? Okay, so joy and grief can coexist. I also found that word so after Yakubu died, I became a grief advocate. Like, I have anything grief, I read it. I wanted to know more so that I could help more. And one of the things that I experienced was those early months and years after he died where I would be truly joyful about something. I was afraid to express it because I didn't want to be judged. I had to show that I loved my husband so much that I was grieving enough to please people. So I would downplay achievements. I would downplay happy moments. I would suppress anything that looked like a happy emotion, like joyful emotion. I would do it with small humility so that they will not say I'm too proud. It's like you're forgotten that he has died. It's like you're even happy, you're even eating and smiling. And you're dancing.
You're even breathing.
Yeah, you're even breathing. Your husband died. Why are you glowing? You have to turn it down. I actually
heard, like a widow.
Yes, I heard that a lot. People told me how I was just shining. I remember someone telling me, this one that you're shining is like there's a man in your life. And I looked at her, and this was barely months after he died. I was like, oh wow. There has to be a man in my life for me to want to look good and feel good. Wow. People would say a lot of things, hurtful things, and in grief, it magnifies because it's through the eyes of your pain that you're hearing those things, and you're like, how can you, and all that. So, yes, grief and joy can coexist because I keep telling people, it's not either or, it's and. You can be happy. My daughter's graduation from primary 6 to JS1, I was really happy and I was crying. I was happy because, my baby is going to JS1. And then I was also sad and crying because I wish your dad was here to see this. This was something we talked about and, looked forward to. But it did not take from the fact that I was happy.
Yeah, I'm proud.
I'm proud.
Excited.
Yes. So it mustn't be either or. Both can coexist. And that goes for any other emotion. I can go for a wedding and I'm truly happy for you. I'm truly happy at that union. I'm excited. And then I remember my own wedding day and when I was saying till death do us part and then did us part. And then start shedding tears. Yes. And it's not everyone that gets to understand that. I'm not crying because I want to dampen your day or I'm not happy for you. But these memories come up and it's okay.
Fantastic.
Yay, 60 seconds.
It's been You know something that occurred to me? So Yakubu died at 44.
Yeah.
And you and I got married when I'm 44.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. I'm just connecting the dot today. I'm like, oh, is this some form of continuity?
Oh yeah, so I got married April 2024. We didn't start with that, even though we talked about blended family and all that. I got married again. So
that's episode 3.
So in case you're wondering, how come this interviewer seems to know plenty about her and is always ending her sentences? It's not just interviewer, it's Mr. O.
So Meet the O's podcast is a podcast of 2 people who are now married, who come from different backgrounds. She is widowed. I'm divorced. We came together and now we're married. So we're giving back to the world a lot of our stories and experiences. And the goal is, maybe in episode 2, we'll talk about how people think you're trying to pepper someone or you're trying to oppress someone with your information. If that's how you think about this podcast, we wish you healing.
Honestly.
Yes, we wish you healing.
Full healing.
Full healing.
Total.
But the main goal of this podcast is we are grateful to have a second chance at life this way. And there's so much we're excited and learning from our experiences that we feel, some people would actually find value in this. So that's the essence of this podcast series, just to further give you reasons why you're listening and watching this from wherever you are in the world. So Mrs. O, episode 1 done. Let's go there. Episode 2 loading. If you are privileged to find this podcast, maybe you want to share it with people who are grieving, divorced, widowed, having a blended family, etc. Tell them to watch this and look forward to the second episode. We plan to drop 1 episode a month. So give us an average of 30 days and then you watch our next episode. Mrs. O, my wife, O1 of O1, Oria, my wife, my life. Love you, baby. Guys, we'll be back in episode 2.
Till the next time.
Till you see us again.
I think I should do the interviewing part the next time.
Again.
Yes. So we'll talk more about divorce.
Yes.
And
okay, so my wife has said it. Episode 2 is about divorce. I'll be the one talking. She'll be the one interviewing. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, guys. See you. Bye.
Bye.